Welcome to the Heavenly Treasury broadcast, where we help believers achieve God's financial abundance for your life. I'm your host, Ron Turba, author of the Heavenly Treasury series on biblical finance, coming to you today with a great message. Hopefully, it's going to bless you today and give you a much better outlook than you had when you woke up this morning. Okay, because that's what we do here. We want to help you focus on where you're going, not where you've been. Okay, and that means, yes, we're going to have to make some different choices to get there, but that's what we do here, okay? And we're going to bring you a biblical perspective on finance that you've never heard before, and that hopefully will be enlightening to help empower you to you and the future that you would like to live, okay? So if you look at the title, it's going to be What Makes Us Different? And I'm bringing this to you because I did a broadcast on the first week of November, which, of course, if you don't know, that was the election time. Had nothing to do with politics whatsoever. And I had a few folks message and reach out and say, okay, what really makes you different? Okay, because what you were talking about makes sense, and especially for those of you who have been through election cycles many times over time, you realize, wait, all those times I voted, nothing really changed that much. And I explained why in the other video, but that's okay. If you're brand new, welcome. And I'm thankful that you're taking the time out of your day right now to watch us. So what we're going to do today is talk to you about what makes us different when it comes to a financial broadcast of some sort, or a ministerial broadcast, if you want to call it that, a spiritual broadcast, whatever you want to call it, all right? For me, I'm not in the traditional ministry. I don't have a church. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not called to go preach all around the world as my main primary purpose and assignment in God's kingdom. I have another different purpose for that. I'm in the private marketplace, and I'm going to continue to be there probably for the rest of my life. Unless the Lord really comes down from heaven and gives me a very clear sign, I'm not going anywhere. And I promise you that. There's a benefit to that, because there's a lot of folks out there when it comes to a financial abundance message, particularly in the ministry, that really doesn't ring as true as it should, simply because they're in the ministry. What do I mean by that? Just because you're in ministry, if you are right now, just because you're in ministry does not mean you're subjected to a life of poverty. Because remember, the God that we serve lives on streets paved with gold. Did you hear that? The God that we serve lives on streets paved with gold. And if your primary calling and function is to serve that God every single day and bring people into his kingdom as a minister, an evangelist, a pastor of some sort, there's no reason why you, as a representative of that great abundant kingdom, should be broke. You shouldn't, okay? And why am I talking about this? Because for most folks who want to hear an abundance style message about increase and living a life beyond what you could ever possibly dream of through our God, the Creator, well, if you're listening to somebody who's a wealthy minister and you're in the private marketplace like I am, you're going to hear it and say, wait a minute, yes, you're wealthy, but what product did you create? How many jobs did you bring to the marketplace? Okay? Where does your money come from? Those sorts of questions. And again, there's another type of broadcast for that, and another message, so to speak, another episode, if you want to call it, for that particular message and to answer that question. And believe me, if you're a wealthy minister right now, hats off to you. I'm so glad you're living that abundant message. I know for a fact that you believe the Bible cover to cover, every single inch of it, which is fantastic, because most people do not. And you do, and you're unapologetic for it, so thank you for it. And probably I've sown into your ministry, which is fantastic, right? But I'm here to bring that same kind of message, okay, outside of a ministerial aspect. So what does that mean? It means that I, as a person in the private marketplace, can talk about 100-fold return on your seed, and you see that in my life, okay? And you're going to realize money didn't just rain from the sky. It didn't just fall from heaven. It wasn't a lottery, so to speak. At times, that the message, if you're in the ministerial aspect and you're preaching that same style of message, it can come off as a lottery. It can. Even if you don't mean it to, it can. If you talk about, I sowed this seed over here, and a week later, I got a building, I got an airplane, I got a house, those sorts of things, okay? If you're a plumber, that's not going to happen, okay? But if you're a minister, it will. All right. Now, again, most people who are wealthy in the ministry didn't go in it to get rich. They didn't. And if they did, they don't have a ministry anymore. It's just a byproduct of their assignment. And it's going to be a byproduct of yours too, It's just when you're in the private marketplace, things work just a little bit different, even though the message is the same. The scriptures are the same. The spiritual laws are the same. It's just the method of how you achieve that is different. It is. Okay? No one's going to walk up to you and say, I love the toilet you fixed last week. Here's a brand new house. Not going to happen. Okay? But it does work. The concepts and the results should work the same. So that's what we talk about here. We focus really on increase. And again, we're gonna throw in a little bit of scripture. We always will. But the reality is we're not going to just heave-ho directly on that. Because remember, we're not ministers here. Even though we are preaching, to an extent, the word that we see. Because the word that we see does work in the private marketplace. And if you're called to that private marketplace, this is for you. If you're called to the ministry, this is for you. If you're called to the government, this is for you also. I promise you, it works everywhere. Okay? It works for a country with $37 trillion in debt. It does. The concepts and scriptures from the Bible and those biblical laws will still work, regardless of the amount of zeros in your bank account or lack thereof. Because some of you right now have $12 to your name. Okay? Believe me, there was a time in my life when I would have dreamed to have $12. But there was a time in my life when my account was negative. Very much negative. And it was not a fun time. That's for sure. Okay? So, again, that's something else we like to talk about here is that regardless of what situation you're going through, good, bad, or ugly, we've been through it. We've been through it, definitely. Okay? We've flown on the private jets here. We've also had negative bank accounts here. Okay? We've been both ways. And regardless of where you are, I want to help you get forward using the spiritual laws that the Lord has shown me throughout the book, which is the first series is right there. Link in the description below if you'd like to get it. All proceeds go to an organization called Feed the Hungry, which is an organization that feeds the poor, preaching the gospel of both of those all around the world. Okay, that's my alms giving, so to speak. And we'll talk about giving in another episode. Okay, so really what makes us different is because we focus on increase. We focus on increase. And what does that mean? Okay, let me give you the scriptures that sort of highlight that really quick. Okay, so this is the first one that's really the core aspect of everything that we talk about here is Galatians 3, verse 13 and 14. And I'm reading out of the scriptures version, okay? It is a beautiful, wonderful Bible, okay? That's what I read every single day, or at least 5-6 times a day, or 5-6 times a week. It's right here. And the reason I use it is because it was created by some Middle Eastern scholars. Again, some of them are Jewish, some of them are Arabic, all of whom have lineages that go back to that area of the earth thousands of years ago, and they get the biblical perspective as close to the meaning as they possibly can, the original translation, without sounding like King James Version Old English. Okay, so you'll see right here, just right off the bat, verse 13 starts off with Messiahs. All right, for your Bible will say Jesus or Yeshua. Okay, but same thing, same here. Okay, you'll see the second line says Torah. You're not going to find that in your typical English translation. You're probably going to find I don't know, the law is most likely what you're going to see. It's called the law, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. Okay, so really our key concept for this broadcast and everything that I personally believe from a financial point of view comes from right here. And it's Galatians 3, 13 and 14. It says, Messiah redeemed us from the curse of the Torah, which is the law, having become a curse for us. For it has been written, cursed is everyone who hangs upon a tree. Basically meaning Jesus was crucified. So he took the curse away from us so we don't have to do that. Why? Verse 14, in order that the blessing of Abraham might come upon the nations in Messiah, Yeshua, which is Jesus, to receive the promise of the Spirit through belief. Now, we're not going to get into theological debates here. We don't. Why? Because it doesn't help you move forward with your life. The only thing we focus on here is how you move forward with your life financially from where you are now. Not where you were yesterday, or 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 5 years ago. Where you are now and where you'd like to go. That's the only things we focus on. Where you are now and where you'd like to go. How do we do that? Verse 14 again. In order that the blessing of Abraham might come upon the nations. That is a very long way of saying that all the Old Testament blessings come to you. Every single one of them. So if you look at Deuteronomy mainly, you're going to see a lot of things that the Lord promises Moses and the Israelites, and then Moses is relaying those in the book of Deuteronomy to the Israelites. And some of those, just to highlight them, okay, when it comes to your money, is something like this. Deuteronomy 8:18. But you shall remember Yahweh your Elohim, which is a fancy way of saying, but you remember the Lord thy God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth, in order to establish his covenant which he swore to your fathers as it is today. Okay? He gave you the power to create wealth, to establish his covenant. Why? What's important about that beyond just the abundance that you're supposed to be living in as a follower of Christ, aka a Christian? It means, guess what? The abundance that you can walk in with the Lord is better than anything else you could achieve anywhere else. Anywhere else. You couldn't achieve it anywhere else. Not serving the devil, not serving Buddha, Islam, Muhammad, whoever the heck. All right, you can whatever other rain god you want to bow down to, whatever gold statue you have in your office or whatever. Guess what? You cannot earn the same abundance that you can serving the Lord. And when you receive that abundance, there's no other way that you could possibly give credit other than to God. To God. That's why that's in there, and that's why it's important for us to walk in that abundance. Okay. Another one I want to highlight just really quick. There's a ton of them. Okay, I mean a ton of scriptures when it comes to the biblical blessings that you're supposed to walk in. Here's another one. Deuteronomy 28:8. And Yahweh commands the blessing on you in your storehouses. Storehouses meaning your bank accounts. And in all to which you set your hand. Okay? How many of you, especially the men, work with your hands? I do. Okay? I type on a keyboard for most of the day. I'm using my mouse most of the day. Okay? I work in finance, I work in accounting, I work in some technological areas as well. Okay, invest my own portfolio. A lot of those is just clicking, reading, communicating, a lot of communication with other folks throughout the day. Okay, guess what? I set my hand to open that meeting. I set my hand to type. I set my hand to sort of fix the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. I'm the one who sets my hand to running an illustration for a client. Okay, about projections for their financial future. That's the Lord blessing the work of your hands. That's what that means. And you shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. Okay, there's a land that that God wants to give you. Okay, even you specifically. Yes, if you look at all the Israelites, all of them had a land. Every single one of them had a land, a specific land for their tribe, and then a specific land for their family within that tribe's land. That's key too. You have a land specified for you. And that's what I want to focus on and highlight today, because there's plenty of other financial broadcasts out there, particularly ones that don't even focus on spiritual. Even if the host is a believer. Even if the host is a believer, there's still something missing that I've found, all right? And again, I'm not taking anything away from them. Okay, a lot of them will get 500,000, 1 million views every single episode that comes on. Believe me, I am a far cry away from 1 million viewers on a broadcast. That I can promise you. But what I can also promise you is that you're going to get results here. Okay, it's going to challenge you, but you're also going to get results here to move yourself forward with your walk with Christ, move yourself forward in your financial future. And again, we talk about things that are practical here. We do, okay? And so one of the things that I want to talk about that was different is that I was watching a broadcast about a week or two ago about somebody who is struggling financially. And again, just because somebody's struggling financially doesn't mean they have no income. A lot of times it means their income is going in the wrong places, or they're not making enough of it, or something along those lines, okay? Just they only making a couple $100 a month. No, okay? So that's what I want to talk about right there. So somebody needed some assistance. They called into this show. Again, who the show's host is none of my business. I don't care. That host has a much bigger audience than I am, and I'm not going to trash them or belittle them or anything along those lines. But the individual basically said, "I am, we're hurting financially. There's a lot of times there's more month than money." And that's my first clue as to where the fix is, but we'll get to that in a second. The guy who's obviously a husband. I think he's a father also. Said there's more month than money, and we're really hurting. We have no idea what to do. Okay, and the guy basically says, I think it's probably got us to start with my house. And the guy revealed that he makes about $4,500 a month after taxes every month, and his house payment is $2,100 a month. Okay, and immediately, without any hesitation, the host and the co-host both said sell the house. Both of them did. Okay, all right, and so that's what most people are going to do. Most financial shows are just very good at their Excel spreadsheets, at reading bank statements of income versus expenses, draw it all out, put it in a nice picture, and say, here's your path towards your future. That's what they're really good at. And again, I do that for my own personal family, and I've done that ever since I've been married. I will tell you right now that I could tell you where every single penny that our family has spent since my wife and I have been married for more than 8 years, I could tell you every penny of where it's gone. Every single one. I have it documented. Now, that used to drive every single one of our financial decisions. Thankfully, the Lord has cleared me of that disgust. Because a lot of you are just focused and just living your life based on a spreadsheet and a budget and so forth. And if that's you, I've got news for you. Lord's going to take that and he's going to throw it in the trash. Okay? And that's something you're not going to hear very often. Now, again, not against knowing where your money's going. If you don't know where your money's going, you got a problem. And that's not an easy, it's an easy problem to fix. It's an easy problem to fix. It just takes a little bit of effort. It does. And once you get that, great. But if that's the driving force behind every single one of your financial decisions, you're never going to walk in the abundance that we're talking about, okay? What do I mean by that? And this is what's going to set us apart here at this broadcast. And again, hopefully when you're listening to this, it's not going to feel like nails on a chalkboard. You're not going to feel something disgusting in your spirit of walking in abundance. Abundance meaning more than you have now. Okay? That should feel good. It should. Because when somebody talks about cutting back and spending plans and budgets and just stick to strict stuff, okay, there's just something in most people's spirits that says, that's not really how I should be living. And you shouldn't be living that way. You shouldn't. Okay? And this is what's going to be different. Now, again, I want to make very clear that yes, you should know where all your money goes. And I talk about in one of my future books, again, all the books in the series are very short, about 30, 40, 50 pages. You can read them in a long weekend. This is not some big encyclopedia, but there are going to be a bunch of books in the series. A future one talking about spending is knowing where all your money goes. But how to not let it drive you. How to not let it drive you. But it will reveal things that for most people is very challenging, and really, it's really going to be eye-opening. But when it comes to the core things, particularly your living situation, for most, again, taking that guy as an example, let's just go ahead and write it all out. Okay, let's go there. All right. So, individual. All right. If I was coaching this individual, okay, and I'm not, and I probably will never meet the individual ever again. But maybe this is you right now. Maybe you earn after taxes $4,500 a month. Okay, so $4,500. Okay. Okay, and that's going to be income. Whoopsies. Oh, can't draw today. Income. Okay. Less. All right. 20. Let's call it 2,100. I have no idea what that is. Okay. And that's going to be just housing. That could be rent. That could be a mortgage payment. Whatever it is. Okay. You can obviously see right here, just based on calculations. If I just do this really quick. That's 47% of somebody's income going towards housing. Okay? 47% to housing. Now, clearly that is not sustainable, because anybody who owns a house knows that even if all your property taxes and insurance and a mortgage, again, putting the debt argument aside, we'll get to that in a future broadcast. But again, if you're just watching this for the first time and you own a home, you probably have a mortgage. Okay? All right? Not taking that away from you. But for somebody who does have this, you're obviously going to know that 47% of your costs going straight to just putting the roof over your head, not even repairing the roof, okay, if you need to, is not sustainable. It's not, okay? And so every single financial broadcast or individual is going to look at this and say, guess what? You've got to sell your house. Okay? For me, I'm going to ask a lot more questions. First of all, do you have a fixed income? Wait, what? Yeah. Do you know exactly to the penny how much your monthly income is going to be every single month? If the answer is yes, that's the first place to start, not the house. Yeah, that's what makes us different. It should. Okay? Because guess what? What if there's an unexpected expense? When we replaced our water heater at our house last year, actually earlier this year, it was about $1,400 or $1,500. Okay? If that goes in there, $2,100 minus $1,400 for a water heater, $1,000 a month for the rest of everything else you spend, and that's assuming no loan payments of any sort, no debt repayments of any sort. If you spent that much on a house, you probably have other debt. Yeah, you're. I can't say it on a broadcast, but a lot of 4-letter words come to mind, right? And again, I've been there. I've been there. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have literally no income, nothing in savings, 6 figures in debt, and and $10,000 in expenses coming up within the next 2 weeks. I know what it's like. I've been there. And that's why I can talk to you now. Thank God I'm not there anymore. Okay? But I've been there. But again, most people, because they want to focus on their spreadsheets, is just going to say, sell the house. God, get somewhere less. I mean, good luck. First of all, good luck with getting a house with a decent sized family that's less than $2,100 a month in a safe neighborhood. With the interest rates we have, even if you're doing borrowing, even if you're doing renting, all that stuff, good luck with that. Okay? So my first question is, is your income fixed? Do you know how much it is every single month? If the answer is no, good. But if it's not, and it is fixed, and you know without a shadow of doubt, you're going to get $4,500 a month every single month, and it's never going to go higher or lower, we got to start there. That's why we start here, because walking in abundance means we have to look inward. We have to look at how we're earning money and how we're supposed to earn money when it comes to the biblical ways. Because if you just think about this for a second, if we're not supposed to have debt, do you really think you can have a job and not have debt and have a large family and multiply your family, which is what the Lord has called us to do, to go forth and multiply? You think you can have 5 kids on a job and no debt? Good luck. I mean, you could do it, yeah. But is anybody else going to want that life? Probably not. That's the key here. That's another key why we're different. Because one of the things that we talk about is if you have a life that somebody else wants, they're going to ask you how you got it. And you're going to say Jesus. Even if it's abundance, all right? If you look at my life right now and you see what we have, all of it's for Jesus. All of it's through God and Jesus. There's no other way I could have what I have today without him. Without him. And I'm not talking about just punching my ticket to heaven. I'm talking about the abundance of the skill sets that the Lord has taught me, the refinement that he's brought me through, and the wonderful places he's taking me. And you can do that too. But if your income is fixed, you are not earning money the way that God wants you to earn it. Okay? There's got to be something in your income generation that does not have a lid. Okay? What does that mean? Okay? If you have a job and you have a salary, guess what? You know exactly how much it's going to be. Again, that's a good thing to an extent because you know how much is coming in. It's also a bad thing because you're never going to have more than that. So there has to be something in your income generation. All right? And for that individual, I would say that's missing. And so if you don't want to go on a massive debt diet and live a life that is just so disgustingly poor, you've got to make some changes to your income. That's the first thing. I don't even talk about the house yet. We'll get to there. We'll get there. Okay? All right. So earning an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. Just think about that. If you're at $5,500 income instead of 20, and you got that, and then you just, okay. Even if you add $1,000 in income to this after taxes, 38% versus 47%. That's a big difference. And now you add $2,000 a month income to this. All right. Let's see what that is. 32%. And now we're getting towards average. Most people are going to spend 25 to 30% of their income on their housing. Okay? And that's right up there at that threshold. So somebody who's got to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this? And for those of you, if you're in that position right now, you think, okay, genius. You said, okay, let's start with my income first. What am I supposed to be doing? Well, good for you, because you come to the right place. On my YouTube channel, there's a 2 to 3 minute video of stuck at your job. Here's how God can help. Go watch that video. That'll give you an avenue of how to increase your income. If you're at a job right now and you've never had any other income generation outside of a job, go there. That's the first thing to do. That's how you start by increasing your income. Okay? The next question I get once we get you on that path, and now you're thinking, wait, if I can increase my income, what if I bring in an extra $3,000? Oh my goodness. Now I might be able to shed a debt payment. So $500 a month out of my expenses is just gone. Oh my goodness. Think about the burden lifted off of you now, particularly if you're a husband and you're a provider and you no longer have to just fork that over every month. Think about the stress that's going to just evaporate immediately. Believe me, I've been there. I know what it's like. It's not fun. Okay? Just think about what it's going to be like when you're free. Okay? The best way to do that is to work on your income. It is. Then we'll get to the housing. Now, if you overpaid for a house because you wanted the perfect house on the neighborhood, the granite countertops, no issues with the house whatsoever, no electrical outlet that needed to get fixed, no room that needed repainting. If you bought the perfect house, you're going to be paying a significant premium for that. And any house flipper will tell you that. They want things that are premium. They want things that are working, because there's a lot of people out there, because that's where the demand is when it comes to people who want to buy houses. They want houses that don't have problems. They don't want to have to go into a house and then within just after they move in have to work on hiring contractors for the next 6 months. They don't want to do that. They don't want that stress. So they're happy to pay more for it. If that was you, okay, maybe we have some questions about changing your housing. But if it's a place that you felt was comfortable to you, that you felt the Lord had called you to, that maybe was a stretch, but you knew you're supposed to be in a certain location, okay, maybe we can talk about keeping that house. But in order to do that, maybe we have to temporarily change a few things in your expenses. That's why we're different than anybody else. I didn't even start with the house. I started with the income. That's what we do here. We start with the income. Then we'll move to the expenses. Because why do we do that? Because nobody else does. But the Lord wants you to. Okay? Because if you're walking in increase, you're consistently increasing, and you're supposed to increase, well, guess what? Now you're a bigger target for people who want to follow you. And more people who follow you means more influence, and that means more income. Even more. Even more. If you're in that position right now and you say, I was there, this is what I did to get out of it, you can do the same. How many people are in this situation right now? Okay? More influence means more income. And now you've got your $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Maybe it doesn't happen overnight. Maybe it happens over 3 to 6, 12 months. Okay? But, think about that. Think about that. Okay? If you can do it, how many other people are in that same situation? That gives you influence. More influence means more income. Think about if you're now doing like a weekly broadcast. I'm doing mine. My goal is to do mine multiple times a week. But maybe now you just do a broadcast and you got 500 people watching you. Think about that. Or maybe you're in an affiliate marketing business and now people want to follow you and join you. Possibilities are endless. But it starts with you. It starts with you looking in the mirror. It starts with you challenging yourself. It starts with you saying, the Lord wants me to do this. It's not easy, but with the Lord's refinement and him blessing the work of my hands and him opening the windows of heaven on my behalf as a tither, a faithful tither into the kingdom, I can do this. I can do this. That's why we're different. That's why we're different. Okay? And that's why I want to make sure that one of my big goals is to help 1 million believers double their income with sorrowless riches. 1 million believers double their income with sorrowless riches. Okay? I've done that twice in my life. I literally, I kid you not, my very first big cushy job outside of college, I was working at a financial firm. Okay? A consulting firm. They fired me, okay, on the spot. 2 months later, I was hired as a contractor for double the pay. Okay? 2 months later, double the pay. Even this year, okay, the contract that I had at the end of last year, all right, it was paying me a certain amount, and that amount of income, well, guess what? About 2 months ago, our monthly income for the month of October was double what it was last November. Okay? And I'm earning a lot more now than I did when I got out of college. And that's the path that I want you to be on. That's the path that the Lord has for you. That's the path where if you stick to the plan, and you stick to the scriptures, and you stick to the laws, and you do what the Lord asks you to do, and you follow him, and you love him, and you serve him with all your heart and soul, that's what's coming. That's what's coming. Okay? Which is exactly why anybody who comes to this broadcast with assistance or questions or anything of that sort is going to get a dramatically different response. A dramatically different response than anybody else out there. And that's what we do. That's what sets us different. You're going to get a very different response that's going to be challenging, but it's going to give you the best result, and it's not going to hurt your spirit. It's not going to hurt your spirit because other people out there, they're going to tell you things, to do things. Again, not taking away from them, but it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt your spirit. That's the worst part. It's going to hurt that, okay? Because you're not supposed to just go on a massive spending cringe and binge, and because again, yes, maybe that's a way out, but is that really a life that other people want? No, it's not. Okay? Again, we're not here to worship money, but at the same time, we also understand money is very important. It is. Not just in advancing the kingdom too. It's important for your personal abundance and your family's abundance. It's also important for advancing the kingdom. It is. It's vitally important. All right? So, I mean, again, let's just take for the moment, somebody sues you because you did something silly you weren't supposed to, or you ran a red light and hit somebody, and that, you know, it was some trust funder who's got an army of lawyers, and they just sue the crap out of you. Well, guess what? If you're like everybody else and every other Christian, you got to go to your church and ask for prayer literally every single week for the next 12 months. God, just keep these people off my back. God, give me some more money. God, do this. Or if you're walking in the abundance, all you have to do is pick up the phone to your lawyer with one phone call and say, listen, get these people off my back. What would you rather do? Pray for a miracle every single week for 12 months or make a phone call? I'd rather make a phone call, which means you got to make the different choices now than you did 12 months ago or 6 months ago or 3 months ago or 3 hours ago. You got to make different choices. Okay? And we're going to challenge you here. But the result is going to be more satisfying, more gratifying, and more pleasing to the Lord than anything else you could hear from anybody else. That I can promise you. So that's what makes us different. Okay? That's what makes us different. So if that's you right now, and you're in some situation when it comes to your financial future, whether it's how you earn money, how you spend money, how you invest your money, any of that stuff whatsoever, by all means, reach out. The email is in the description below. If that's you, send us a message, and that message will get to me. If you use the email in the description below, I think it's info@heavenlytreasury.com. That will get to me, and maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll have you on a future broadcast, and we'll talk about it one-on-one. We'll see what happens. Okay? Or if you want to be discreet, you say, you know what? I don't want to give you my name, but here's what's going on. You know, if you and your spouse are having fights financially, by all means, I've probably been there. Believe me, I've probably been there. Thankfully, I've come out better as a result. My wife certainly has too. It has not been enjoyable for her, but at the same time, it's been very, very gratifying. If she was going to be on here, with us. Okay, maybe one day she will be. But I'm just going to tell you this right now. If you are in whatever situation, you need some assistance or whatever reason, maybe you just need a tip or trick, by all means, send us a message. If you don't want to use your name, by all means, don't use your name. All right, I'll answer. It'll get to me. It'll get to me. Okay. So with that being said, that's what makes us different here. It does. And by all means, if I'm on a broadcast, come on in. Come on in. Okay. We definitely want to just have some fun here, enjoy ourselves, and just walk together to the abundance that the Lord has for you. Okay? That's what we want to do here. So with that being said, I want to thank every single person who came on. Watch the live broadcasts, watch the recordings. With that being said, I just want to thank you so much, and we'll talk to you very, very shortly. Take care, everybody.